Welcome to CosmoCake, the place where your zodiac comes alive. Here, we bring you magical, heartwarming stories that celebrate your sign, shine a light on your strengths, and show you how to be the hero of your own story. And today, we're diving into a witty, curious, and heartwarming Gemini story. Meet Sora, a girl whose laughter, riddles, and cleverness will make you see just how powerful a Gemini can be. Sora and the Riddles of the Quiet Village. The village of Renly was the kind of place where life moved at the rhythm of rustling leaves and ticking clocks. Fields rolled into one another like golden quilts. Cottages leaned gently in the wind, and everyone knew everyone, or at least thought they did. Among them lived Sora Elms, a girl who always had a spark in her eyes, as if her mind was forever chasing something just beyond the horizon. She was 22, with a laugh that carried down the narrow cobbled lanes and a curiosity that often made the older villagers sigh, half in amusement, half in exasperation. Sora had grown up in Renly, but she had never quite fit the pattern of its predictable life. While others found comfort in routine, she found questions. Why did people say morning even when they looked tired? Why did Mrs. Langley never open the windows of her bakery anymore? Why did the old clock tower ring late by 2 minutes every day? She noticed everything, and that noticing was both her gift and her curse. Her father used to tell her, "You don't just live life, Sora. You try to solve it." And maybe that was true. She loved riddles, not just the paper ones or the clever jokes she scribbled in her notebook, but the human ones, the quiet puzzles behind every smile and silence. The first riddle: the baker who forgot to laugh. Every morning, Sora would pass by Mrs. Langley's bakery, the Golden Crust. Once upon a time, the woman had sung as she kneaded dough, her laughter spilling out into the street like sugar dust. But lately, she'd gone quiet. When Sora asked her why, Mrs. Langley only said, "Some mornings, dear, there's nothing worth singing about." That answer bothered Sora for days. She noticed the woman working without joy, serving bread but not warmth. One afternoon, Sora left a small folded note beside the counter. Open quote, "Riddle me this, what has flavor, warmth, and sweetness, yet turns bitter when forgotten." Close quote. The next morning, Sora found the note returned, with a single word written in shaky handwriting: joy. When Sora looked up, Mrs. Langley was smiling faintly for the first time in months. "You're right," she said, handing Sora a croissant. "Joy tastes better fresh." From that day, music slowly returned to the bakery, soft humming at first, then full songs. Sora didn't tell anyone what she had done. She just felt lighter, as if she had solved something important, not for the village, but for herself. The boy who wouldn't speak. A few weeks later, a new family moved into the cottage by the stream. Their son, Jamie, was a quiet child. Too quiet. He didn't play with the others, didn't answer when spoken to, and spent hours stacking small stones by the riverbank. The villagers whispered that something was wrong with him. Sora didn't believe in that word. She believed in reasons. She started sitting by the stream too, a little distance away, sketching or skipping stones. After 3 silent afternoons, she began to leave him tiny riddles scribbled on paper boats. Open quote, "I speak without a mouth and hear without ears. What am I?" Close quote. The first one drifted away unanswered. The second time, the boy looked up, curious. The third time, he placed a pebble on her note and pushed it back. Sora unfolded it. On the back, in hesitant pencil, was a single word: echo. That night, she cried a little, not from sadness, but from relief. Jamie began to speak again after that, quietly at first, then more freely. His parents thanked Sora over and over, but she only shrugged. He just needed someone to ask the right question, she said. The third riddle: the old postman's silence. The village postman, Mr. Abel, had worked the same route for 40 years. He was known for punctuality, his steady bicycle, and his quiet nods. Lately, though, he had grown withdrawn. He skipped routes, forgot letters, and often sat by the bench near the pond, staring at the water. One day, Sora sat beside him. "You look like you're waiting for something," she said. He chuckled dryly. "Waiting for time to stop moving so fast." Sora tilted her head. "Or maybe you're just tired of going in circles." He looked at her then, surprised. "You think so?" She smiled. "Here's a riddle for you, Mr. Abel. What still delivers without moving an inch?" He thought for a long time before answering softly, "Memory." "That's right," she said. "You've delivered more than letters in this village. Maybe it's time you let your memories travel instead." A month later, Mr. Abel retired, but instead of disappearing into loneliness, he began writing stories. Small memoirs about Renly and its people. The local paper published them weekly. They were warm, funny, and true. Sora's riddle had given him permission to find meaning again. The Riddler herself. Yet for all the riddles Sora solved, she couldn't solve her own. Sometimes, late at night, she'd sit by her window, looking out at the quiet fields, wondering why she always felt half here, half somewhere else. She loved people, but she often felt misunderstood. They laughed at her jokes, but rarely saw the girl beneath them, the one who used humor to hide her restlessness. Her friends said she was too changeable, too curious, too much of everything. "You're like the wind, Sora," her mother once told her. "You never stay still long enough to be known." Those words haunted her, because maybe they were true. Maybe she didn't belong. Then came the summer fair, a yearly celebration when everyone gathered for music, food, and laughter. Sora was asked to host the evening games because, as the mayor said, no one else can make people laugh like you. But halfway through the fair, as she stood on the stage, she froze. The microphone in her hand suddenly felt heavy. The crowd waited expectantly. People she'd known all her life, and yet in that moment, she felt completely alone. Her heart pounded. Words deserted her. It was the same feeling she'd carried for years, being everyone's entertainer but no one's truth. She left the stage quietly and walked down to the river, tears stinging her eyes. Hash the fourth riddle, the one she never wrote. As she sat there, Jamie, the quiet boy from the stream, appeared. He handed her a folded paper boat. Open quote, "Riddle me this," it said in his uneven handwriting. "Who makes everyone smile yet forgets to smile at herself?" Close quote. Sora laughed through her tears. "That's not fair," she said softly. "Then you know the answer," he replied simply. In that moment, she realized something profound. Every riddle she had ever solved was never just about others. It was about her. Each act of kindness, each spark of laughter, each question asked, it had been her way of understanding herself. The next day, Sora returned to the village square. She apologized for leaving, took the microphone again, and said with her usual spark, "All right, who's ready for one last riddle?" The crowd cheered. Open quote, "What do you get when 100 hearts laugh together?" she asked. Close quote. They shouted guesses, "Happiness, noise, chaos." Sora grinned. "Home," she said simply. The square fell silent for a moment, then erupted into applause. The last riddle. Home. Over the months that followed, something shifted in Renly. People began leaving notes on each other's doors. Riddles, jokes, questions that made them think or smile. Mrs. Langley baked cookies shaped like question marks. Mr. Abel wrote a column called The Riddles of Renly. Jamie grew into a storyteller, writing his own riddles and sharing them with friends. And Sora? She started a small riddle cafe, where people gathered every evening to laugh, share puzzles, and talk. Her laughter returned, not the kind that hides pain, but the kind that heals. One autumn afternoon, as golden leaves fell outside her cafe window, Sora wrote a line in her journal. Open quote, "The universe doesn't always send us riddles through stars and signs. Sometimes it sends them through people. And if we're curious enough to listen, we find the answers inside ourselves." Close quote. She closed the book, smiled at the chatter around her, and felt, finally, that she belonged. Renly changed that year, not through miracles or magic, but through a Gemini girl who turned confusion into laughter and loneliness into light. And as twilight settled over the village, her voice carried down the lanes. A soft laugh, a clever line, and the warmth of someone who had solved the hardest riddle of all, herself. Wow, what did you think of Sora's story? Gemini friends, did you feel connected to her wit, curiosity, and heart? Let us know in the comments. What did you see in Sora that reminded you of yourself or your own Gemini friends? And while you're at it, tell us, what do you think are your strengths and weaknesses as a Gemini? We'd love to hear your thoughts. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and stay tuned, because next up, we'll be diving into a beautiful, emotional Cancer story. You won't want to miss it. Drop a comment, share your experiences, and let's keep exploring these zodiac tales together.